Little boy sold father's Harley for mom's medicine. Hours later, 200 Hell's Angels roared the street. The rain in Oak Haven didn't wash things clean, it just made the grime slicker. For 10-year-old Ethan Miller, the world had shrunk to the size of a single bedroom where his mother lay feverish and fading. The doctor's words echoed in his small mind. Without the medication tonight, she won't make the morning. But the pharmacy counter had been cold and their pockets were empty. Ethan looked at the only thing of value left in their crumbling garage, his father's 1974 Harley-Davidson shovelhead. It wasn't just a motorcycle, it was a shrine. His father, a legendary member of the Hells Angels known as Iron Mike, had vanished years ago, leaving behind only this machine and a promise to return. To anyone else, it was chrome and steel. To Ethan, it was the last piece of his dad. But as he heard his mother's ragged breathing from the other room, Ethan made a choice that would change everything. He pushed the heavy bike out into the storm, walked 3 blocks to Sal's pawn shop, and sold the soul of their family for a bag of life-saving pills. He returned home, shivering, the money clutched in his fist, the guilt heavy in his chest. He had betrayed his father's memory to save his mother's life, or so he thought. Hours later, the ground began to tremble. It started as a low rumble like distant thunder, but it quickly grew into a deafening roar that shook the windows of every house on Elm Street. Ethan ran to the window, expecting the worst. Instead, he saw a sea of leather and chrome. 200 Hells Angels filled the street, engines idling in a synchronized growl that silenced the neighborhood. At the front, astride a massive custom chopper, sat Jake Reaper Morrison. The club president killed his engine and stepped forward, his eyes scanning the house until they landed on Ethan standing in the doorway. Jake didn't look angry, he looked relieved. "You sold Mike's bike?" Jake asked, his voice rough but devoid of malice. Ethan nodded, tears streaming down his face. "Mom was dying, I had to." Jake knelt, bringing himself to eye level with the boy. "Son, you didn't sell a bike, you honored the code, family first. Always." The truth then unfolded. The rival gang, the Vipers, hadn't just wanted the bike for its value. They knew Iron Mike had hidden a ledger inside the fuel tank, evidence that could bring down their entire operation. They'd been tracking Ethan, waiting for him to make a move. By selling the bike, Ethan had inadvertently drawn the Vipers' attention, but he had also triggered the Angels' emergency protocol. When the pawn shop owner, an old associate, realized who he was dealing with, he called Jake immediately. "We don't leave our own behind," Jake declared, turning to the legion of bikers. "Load 'em up, we're moving to the safe house." Within minutes, Ethan and his stabilized mother were whisked away to a fortified compound deep in the woods. But safety was fleeting. The Vipers, realizing their prize had slipped away, launched a brutal ambush on the safe house under the cover of darkness. Gunfire erupted, shattering the silence. While the Angels mobilized, Ethan found himself cornered near the perimeter fence. Fear gripped him, but then he remembered Jake's words from earlier that day during their brief drive. Fear is just fuel. Grabbing a makeshift baton, Ethan stood his ground, defending the entrance long enough for the main force to arrive. When the roar of 200 engines finally pierced the night again, the Vipers broke ranks. The counterattack was swift and decisive. The Angels swept through the enemy lines, not with chaos, but with the precision of a brotherhood united. In the aftermath, amidst the smoke and the settling dust, Jake walked up to Ethan. The boy was bruised but standing tall. "You fought like your father," Jake said, placing a hand on Ethan's shoulder. "Today, you weren't just a kid we protected, you were one of us." The story of Ethan Miller became legend within the club. He had transitioned from a scared child selling a heritage to a protector of the legacy. The rival gang was dismantled, the territory secured, and Ethan's mother recovered, surrounded by the most unlikely family imaginable. This tale reminds us that kindness often comes in unexpected packages, and that second chances are the heartbeat of humanity. Sometimes the loudest voices belong to those who know the true meaning of silence and sacrifice. If you believe in the power of kindness, loyalty, and second chances, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us spread hope and emotional stories to millions around the globe.
Don't forget to tell us in the comments where you're watching from. We read every single one. Thanks for watching.